Hi guys, welcome at Chop Chop Ukraine. In today's video, I will tell you about Holodomor, which from Ukrainian means death by starvation. And I want to tell it upfront, it's not going to be an entertaining or funny video. That's why I'm also not smiling. But it is a very important one because it covers the period between 1932 till 1933 when millions of Ukrainians died from the artificially made hunger. And it is important to remember it, I guess, not only for Ukrainians, but also for foreign people to know about this period, I guess. I'm sorry, I made this video already so many times, and it was never perfect. Maybe it will never be perfect, even though I want it to be perfect. Anyhow, in this video, I'm going to tell you about the history of Holodomor, how my family survived Holodomor, and we will finish this video with some conclusions and statistics. Before I will jump into the history of Holodomor, I want to tell you a personal story. When I was a child, I grew up in Ukrainian village, and my parents had a huge amount of land around their house. When I was a kid, I remember looking at this land and couldn't able to understand my parents. Why they need so much land? Why they want to work on this land all the time? I thought that the ultimate happiness is when you are living in the city, in the apartment, in the epicenter of events, enjoying your life, and not working so hard as my parents did. Now, when I grew up and I learned more about Ukrainian history, I understand my parents and their passion to their land. Because look, Ukrainians historically were always farmers. So when Ukraine joined Soviet Union in 1922, it really quickly got its name, the breadbasket of Soviet Union. We produced a lot of wheat and other crops because Ukrainians were farmers and the land was really good for it. Unfortunately, Soviet Union didn't like people having their own land in Ukraine. So they introduced collectivization, which from that time means that the free land or Ukrainian-owned land by farmers will become a state-owned land. So basically, they wanted to take the land from Ukrainians. Ukrainians didn't like it. They really didn't want to give the land to the government. But who will listen? People in the Soviet Union totalitarian regime. Soviets took their land anyway, forcefully. And they deported people, they killed them if they didn't want it to follow the rules. Anyhow, this was a big, to say so, tragedy for Ukrainians, but unfortunately, it was not the biggest one. Because in 1932, the amount of crop produced by the people increased significantly by the government. Unrealistically, people couldn't produce that much. So as a punishment for these unrealistic expectations, everything, the last drop of food was confiscated from Ukrainians for the government. So basically, people had nothing to eat and nothing to feed their families. That was the beginning of Holodomor. My grandma told me the story of her family. My great-grandfather and great-grandmother and 3 their daughters survived Holodomor in Kherson region. And Kherson has increasingly versatile land. The best watermelons are actually coming from Kherson. It is so good. My great-grandfather was a warehouse keeper, and he could bring 2 spoons of their grains in his pocket, and that's how he would feed his family, risking his life, because if he will be caught doing that, he will be punished or even murdered. my great-grandmother would mix this grain with grass, which were growing around the house, and usually you will usually feed animals with it. And she will make food for my family ancestors. Everybody was working despite severe hunger. So with these kind of pancakes, which called kolichiki, and some milk which my family could drink during working on the farm, actually saved them from hunger. But not everybody was so lucky. People were starving. Their bodies were swollen. The water was dripping from them. Yeah, it was horrible time. People were dying everywhere. Approximately 8 million people died in Ukraine. The exact number will never be known because Russian Empire, Soviet Union and Russia never took responsibility for this famine and never recognized it. They hid all consequences, just like they always do. And only in 2006, 10 years after Ukrainian independence, Holodomor was finally recognized as a made by man genocide, like artificial genocide against Ukrainian people. At the end of the video, I want to tell you about a small tradition. Every year, on 22nd of November, we light up the candle and we put it on the window as an act of remembrance about the victims of Holodomor. You can also do that. We will appreciate it because this was a huge disaster for Ukrainian nation. Not only because so many people died and so many people never got born, but also because it caused significant damage for our cultural heritage. Why? Because people literally sold everything what they had. Traditional clothes, necklaces, all traditional things, everything they had just to survive. So this was also the tragedy. And I want to ask you a favor. If you like this episode and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and like for more and bring my dream a little bit closer because I really want to share Ukrainian stories and my stories about Ukraine with the world, and it will help me to reach more people. Yeah, I would appreciate it. I hope to see you in another episodes. I love you all. Bye-bye.